If you're a contractor and you've been working all year and you still feel broke, well, I'm here to tell you, you don't have a money problem. You have an estimating problem. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to fix that. All right, guys, so let's get right into it. We're gonna talk about 4 different pillars that we need to estimate, properly in order to make some money. First thing is first, we need to make sure we have a clear understanding of our materials. Second thing is gonna be your labor. And one of the most important things is overhead. And we will go deeper on what overhead is, because if you're watching this right now and you don't know what overhead is, that's your main problem, and you need to watch the rest of this video for sure. And then obviously the last thing, profit, because remember, I'm sure if you're watching this, you're a contractor. I highly doubt that you're a nonprofit. So, the 4th pillar is gonna be your profit. So let's get right into the first one. All right, so number 1, we're going to talk about material. And it's not just as simple as adding up your material and then, passing it out to your customer. Like I said, personally, I like to mark up my material 10%. Then again, you can market your material as much as you want, but you have to remember, you get your material at a certain price for a reason. It's wholesale price. I typically don't recommend just passing it on to the customer in that price. Let's say, let's give an example. We're gonna spend $6,000 in material. The customer should be charged $6,600, adding a 10% at the very least. Why? And I'm gonna tell you a few reasons why. Number 1, material handling. Let's say you have some pavers that are damaged or whatever the case may be. It's your job to go through a warranty. A lot of times you're gonna take it out of your pocket. Sometimes you even have to buy a full pallet instead of buying 1/3 of a pallet. So there's gonna be a lot of things that are going to be eaten up within, that cost, and you have to make up for that somehow. You cannot take that out of your profit. And then again, let's say you buy a pallet of brick, it's going to cost, to go pick it up, to go drop it, go drop it off at the site, unload it into the wheelbarrows, put it in the backyard. So by the time you take that material and put it in the homeowner's backyard, it's costing you more than just material. Another thing is you're getting a cheaper price than the homeowner would. Why? Because you're buying bigger quantities. Homeowner's only going to buy it one time. So at the end of the day, trust me guys, even just if you're adding just a 10% material, you're not ripping off the homeowner at all. Most likely the homeowner is still paying less money for that material than they would cost them to go buy it on their own. All right guys, so step number 2, that's going to be your labor. So how do we figure out your labor? I'm gonna make it pretty simple, right? So let's say we have 3 guys and one of them makes 25, the other one makes 30, and the other one makes 35. You divide that by 3, so average, you're gonna be, let's say, about $30 a man hour. Now, I would say add at least another 20% for payroll fees, unemployment taxes, all that stuff. Because if you do have them on payroll, they are going to be, a little more expensive than just, whatever you pay them. So figure out what that number is. And I would say, let's say we add 30%. So in this situation here, for our 3 guys, we're looking at about $36 a man hour. So and remember, that is before overhead. So let's just say we have, a job where it's going to take him 3 days. Every day, we're looking at about 30 man hours. And we times that by 3, that gives us 90 man hours. And then we times that by our number, we're at 36. So we're looking at about $3,240 in about 3 days. And for the people that are watching and you're kind of confused about how I got that number, I can make a whole separate video on that. Just drop it in the comments. I'll go a little bit slower, but right now I want to show you what components go into estimating properly. So like I said, first thing is your materials. This one here is we're gonna have your guys. So now we got our material number. And then now we have our labor number. Next, which is one of the most important parts, is going to be your overhead. Okay guys, so we're at step number 3. And I personally think it's one of the most important things. Overhead. I call it the magic number. Like some people, most contractors that I've spoken to don't know what that means. And we're gonna talk about it right now. Because like I said, if you don't know what overhead is, you're missing out and you'll never make a profit. So what does overhead mean? I'll quickly go over it. Overhead means, your burn rate. like money that is going to be burning through your pocket, through your bank account, no matter what, whether you're working or whether you're not. Things such as, you know, your insurance, all your softwares. For instance, even some of the salaries that are on payroll, no matter what. What else? Like, you know, your phone bill. You know, things that I always say, like the easiest way to find those things is go through your statement and look at those things and say, okay, you know, if I was to shut down for 2 weeks, what are things that would still go through my bank statement or would still go through my bank account? Those things are overhead. And how do you find that number? So go through all your statements, get that number, that total number for the year. So let's say that you went through your statements and you have a total of $250,000. So you're going to divide that by how many working days you have. So let's say you work 12 months out of the year, not 8 months like some of us. So let's say you work 12 months out of the year. So if we burn through $250,000, let's say, and we have 240 days, right? $250,000 divided by 240 days. That's about 1,041 every single day. Now, let's divide that by 10 hours a day because we're going to be working, let's say 10 hours a day. So we're looking at about $104 every single hour. So what does that tell us? That's telling me that every day that you're at that job site, your business, every hour, your business is burning through $104, whether you like it or whether you're not. And if you're not charging for that, if you're only charging that $36 a man hour that we talked about previously, then guess what? That $104 a day, over $1,000 a day, that's being eaten up from your profit. And that just alone is going to eat up all your profit, guys. So let's go through it. So we have 104, and now we have 104 from overhead. Then we have 104 from overhead, and then we have $36, you know, what's costing us to pay our guys. So we're at roughly $140 a man hour. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? I mean, remember, let's say we are at a 3-day job. Every day we burn 30 man hours. You times that by 3, that's 90 man hours. So that means we are, let's see. So we're going to times 140 times 90. So that means 90 times 140, we're labor and overhead, we're $12,600 deep. And remember, then we add your material, which is $6,600. That is $19,200. Remember, guys, this 3-day job, material is only $6,600. And just to break even, we are $19,200. Just to break even. We're not profiting here yet. So then again, remember, we are not a nonprofit. We want to profit, right? So, you know, what are we going to do? We add our profit. And then now the question is how much? So let's get into that. Okay, guys, the last thing, which is super important, profit. So we had our materials, our labor, our overhead, and now we're going to add our profit. And remember, guys, there's no wrong or right way. I mean, some guys are going to tell you to mark up 60, 70, 100. At the end of the day, it's what works for you. And as long as for me, most importantly, recovering our overhead, that's fine. If you want to make 30% on this job, that's totally fine. And you can always figure out, like, what is the maximum margin that you can make on jobs before you start losing jobs or too many jobs. And then you can start backing off. But I feel that marking up 50% is a very healthy start point, because you have to remember, you're not actually profiting 50%. You're probably going to be netting, I think it's like 30% from the total number as a whole, which is a whole different thing to explain. I don't want to confuse you guys. What you should do is add your markup. Like I said, add up all these things that we just talked about, add a 50%, and that gives you your number. Then job track track how much you actually profited on that job. And then you're like, shit, man, I honestly, I ended up with a 20%. Well, then figure out why. If your estimating was on point and then you screwed up the man hours or whatever, then figure that out. But if you're like, man, I need to up this 50%, or you're like, man, I profited way too much where I'm gonna start losing jobs, or I would say test it, keep it, but figure out what works for you. At least have a formula and figure out, what you have to tweak. But if you don't have a formula that you can repeat and replicate, you won't be able to tweak anything. So let's run through this last time. The 6,600, remember, we got it from our material, we added 10%. This 3,240, we got an average of about $36 per hour for our 3-man crew, and that's including taxes, payroll, all that good stuff. Then our overhead. Remember, this is for a guy that burns about $250,000 a year, give or take. This is what you're gonna be spending in 3 days, which is 90 man hours, 9,360. You add all these numbers up and then add a 50%, and that comes out to 28,800. And that's the number, your number that you're gonna give to the customer. And like I said, that doesn't mean you're gonna profit 50%. We're just adding a 50% to this. You're technically gonna be netting, I think it's roughly 30, don't quote me on this. But I will repeat, you don't have to do these exact numbers or these exact markups. But like I said, my biggest intention for this video is in hopes that you guys understand that you need to have a formula that you can go back to and tweak if it's not working for you. If you're just going off of feelings every time, if you're just going off of what other guys told you, or you're just going off of what you feel is right, or if you feel like it's too expensive. And then one of the worst ones to go off of is basing it off of your pockets or basing it off of my pockets. That is the worst thing we can do. But anyway, like I said, this is for me. It's been a winning formula for most of my guys in MDC. So try it, plug in your numbers. If you get stuck, drop in the comments. I'll be more than happy to make more videos like this. All right, guys, made it to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're looking for more guidance and you want to work with me one-on-one, well, I'm going to drop a link in the description where you can book a free call. We call it a free discovery call. Me and you jump on that Zoom call. We make sure you're a right fit for our group, MDC, and then we go from there. But other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next video.